Recording. Okay, dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope you are doing fine today. We are going to start our next lecture on basics of entrepreneurship. And in this lecture, we'll be talking about entrepreneurs and emerging pioneering companies. Okay, the agenda for today's learning outcomes are basically to understand how entrepreneurial founders impact the business world as a whole, to familiarize with leading entrepreneurs in the world and their entrepreneurial philosophy, to familiarize with leading entrepreneurs in Saudi Arabia, and then understand the triggers that encourage new business formulations, and compare and contrast various types of new business sports, explain how you can evaluate those things that you can enjoy and and discover how they may lead to business opportunities. And then there's a startup idea that is called Incredible Health. You can watch that video. The video is available with you in the other lecture as well. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what's the difference between a large organization and the entrepreneurial businesses? So in the large organization, what happens is there's no one person is crucial to the survival of the business. So what happens is that the businesses, yeah, but I think the content is the same. Okay, so what happened is that in the large businesses, you have set the organization sets so many departments, and there is not a single person that is like controlling them. That is very crucial for the success or survival of the business. So knowledge is widely dispersed, and there's a great access resources. So that's why, like the Jack Ma, do we know Jack Ma? Do we know Alibaba? We know Alibaba, yes. So he's the CEO of the Jack Ma is the CEO of Alibaba. He says, and he advises young students like you, young budding entrepreneurs, that if you want to go and learn, you should not try to go to the big companies. You should go to the small companies. Why? Because in small companies, you can learn a lot, but the big companies, what they have is they have already established their departments. So you will just become a part of the big company. Okay, so you will not be contributing anything for the betterment because they have already systematically divided the work. So in entrepreneurial business setups, when you start a new business, so basically the business depends on individual, especially it's the man entrepreneur that starts, he fuels the entrepreneurship. And the concentration of knowledge is based on that individual, he or she. So whatever they start the business, they are basically the custodian of the knowledge. They are basically the fuel for this whole process. And there's a limited slack of resources. So when you start the business, you have very limited amount of resources available to you. So that's the difference that we have to understand. Here, the individuals are very important, but they are just possessing most of the knowledge with them, and then they are struggling with the resources. In large organization, there's no single person that is like not replaceable. You can just, you have already established the system, so knowledge is widespread and great. They have a great access to the resources. They're financially strong companies. Okay, do we understand the difference between large organization and entrepreneurial business? Okay, tamam. Now we'll see the advantages of new business, like why one should be aiming for an entrepreneurial setup and what are the new. The first important thing is you own and run the same persons. So the owner of the company and the people they're running are the same one. Sometimes the big companies, the owners are basically the shareholders, the stockholders, but they are not the same as the company or the owner. And then you have increased flexibility. You can start your work when you want to. You can like there is no particular kind of instructions for you that you have to must do these things, you know. So we have to understand this difference, this because in certain companies, when we do not understand this difference, the flexibility one, like you can work extra hours, then your ability to fill the niches. So when you see a new business, they always try to find a gap in the market, and they just try to fill that gap. And that is where they can get the maximum profit. And then they the effort to maximize the value of the business. So they, because these are the small businesses, their ultimate effort is to get the maximum market share, and that's how they can get like maximum benefits because they are operating in the areas which are neglected areas by the mainstream businesses, big businesses. Okay, so small businesses can bridge in that areas. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, so here we have got some statistical data that suggests us like why entrepreneurs decide to start a business and what are the leading causes. So the top reasons for starting business, let's see what is the highest figure, why people start their own businesses. I want you to write down and share with me why people consider starting their own business. What is the major reason? Is it ready to be his or own boss? With 26%, yes. And with 23, wanted to pursue his or own goals. Okay, so what is the third one? What is the third? Opportunity presented itself. So sometimes when you see the opportunity, you can go for it. What is the fourth one? Dissatisfied with corporate America. So when people are not happy with the corporate world, working 9 to 5, so probably that can also trigger you to go and start your own business. Yes. Yes, financial independence. What's financial independence? Give me from there. Okay, so then the 12% we talked about it. Then the like got laid off or outsource. Sometimes employee they get unemployed, and that can give them a kick to start their own business. Unprepared to retire, so sometimes people don't want to get retired. Like this is like 6%. There may be some like 3% or 5%, like many other reasons. So major life events. Sometimes someone got an accident or something like that. That can also trigger them to think about their own starting a business. Okay, let's see the second statistics. The US is not the easiest place to start your new own business. So sometimes it looks very encouraging that we can start business, but even in America, the starting a business can be tricky. How many days it takes to start a business? So in USA, it takes like 6 days. In UK, it takes like 5 days, Belgium 4 days, Australia 3 days, Canada 2 days, and New Zealand like 1 day. You can start a business within 1 day. Okay, this is what we call it ease of business. Okay, so ease of business is crucial for businesses to be successful. Let's see the third dimension, that is the entrepreneurs find finance for their endeavors. So let's see the leading small business financing strategies are. So how do they do? Like 77% people, they self-fund like personal funds, or they also take fund from the individual. Okay, and the second one, 34% is basically they go for the bank loans. The third one, 16% is basically they take borrowing from family and friends, and some other sources is like 11%. Okay, the question is, what is the major source of funding that the individuals use when they want to start the business? Can you please text me so that I should know, like, are you following me or not? What is the major source of funding that is used by the starting of new entrepreneurs? Can you please type me the answer so that I know, like, you are following? Yeah, it's personal funding. Yes, so people self-fund, and that tells us the story, like how much they are serious about the business. So if you are willing to spend their own money, I was just listening to a top entrepreneur, and she said, like, my grandma, she gave me $10,000 to start the business, and then thereon I've been like growing, you know. So like the best source, people go to the banks later. Okay, let's see, like, how the education is contributing to entrepreneurship. This is going to be an interesting study. Some people believe like education is very valid for the entrepreneurship, but some, they think like if you want to be a businessman, just go and start the business. Let's see how many people are entrepreneurship. This is the data in 2020. They hold like just associate degree. They were like 31%, and then there were like 30% that hold a high school graduation. And then obviously we have 18% with master's degree, 17% with bachelor degree, and only 4% to doctorate or PhD level. Okay, so that can tell you the whole story. So if you want to make a grid like this, what do you think? Like, what is the composition? 30 plus 30, there's 61% people, they don't have like high formal qualifications, yes. And if we try to add these two, or if we try to add all of them, that is going to make us 59%, yes. So it's like 50% chances. Sorry, it's 39%. Sorry. You're not telling me that I'm giving the right figure. So yes, they're like, this tells us the story, like majority of the people, they might not have a higher qualifications, but they are very successful entrepreneur. So there's a negative trend, like, or we can suggest in the other way that individuals that do not have a high qualification, it doesn't mean that they will not be successful as an entrepreneur. So take it from the positive perspective. If somebody has not been very successful in academics, it doesn't mean that they will not be very successful in entrepreneurship. So this is a positive data that suggests us that yes, obviously, if you have formal qualifications, then still you have got chances to become a successful entrepreneur. But obviously, we can see a clear dominance from the individuals. They do not have the formal proper qualifications to a higher level. Okay, so let's see the leading entrepreneur and their entrepreneurial philosophy. Okay, so late Steve Jobs, who was the ex-CEO of Apple, he says your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. So what we should be doing is, if you are passionate, if you are an entrepreneur, and if you hate working from 9 to 5, and you have some practical business ideas, you should go and implement those ideas instead of waiting for something other, you know. Let's see advice from Jeff Bezos. He is the CEO of Amazon. He says, you have to be willing to be misunderstood if you are going to be innovative. So what he's suggesting us, anybody can like text me and tell me what does Jeff Bezos is talking about. Basically, he's talking about the mindset of the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneurs basically can think something different than the normal people, because the normal people, if you see a problem and if another person also sees a problem and the another person also faces the problem, the same problem is faced by the fourth person, an entrepreneur will see it as an opportunity, not as a problem. And he is trying to fill that gap, and he's going to make his own revenue out of it. Similarly, normal people would not be able to understand their mindset. When they will tell them, they will be laughing. I remember that there's an interview that was conducted by someone, and they were interviewing Jeff Bezos, and they were laughing at Jeff Bezos. That was like way back 10, 20 years back, when Amazon was not a big success, and they were saying like, is Amazon a property business or an IT company? You are making so much losses, and how come you are just still considering that your business will be successful? And the anchor person was laughing at him. So that's what he is saying. You have to be willing to be misunderstood if you are going to innovate. Okay, well, Mark Zuckerberg, we all know he's the CEO of the Facebook. He says, move fast and break things. Unless you are breaking stuff, you are not moving fast enough. So he's talking about something which is like, at most of the time, we are very careful. We try to be making everything perfect, and then we think like we can move to the next level. He says, no. If you'll be starting a business, if you'll be an entrepreneur, there are chances that you will also make mistakes. If you are just careful, making no mistake, it means you are not going anywhere. So he says you have to be fast moving, especially in today's world. There's lots of competition is happening. So if you're thinking idea and ideas in your head, somebody else will come and implement your idea. So that's the philosophy. You should move fast on executing your idea. Okay, Sergey Brin, he is the director of Google X and special projects. He says solving big problems is easier than solving smaller problems. Why? The big problems provide you the big opportunities. Big problems may be with many people, they're suffering from that problem. So there's going to be a huge incentive if you'll be solving the big problem. Small problems will give you small opportunities to make revenue. Okay, so don't think like this is the problem is big, so I should not be thinking to solve the problem. That will give you more benefits. Okay, Elon Musk, he is the CEO of the Tesla Motors and CEO of CTO of SpaceX project. And we all know him, yes. So he says it's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to the basket. So I wonder if you remember the quote. In quote, we used to say that don't put all the eggs in one basket. That's an old idiom. They used to say like, if one basket falls off from your hand, you will be losing all the eggs. But here what he is telling you that you should be careful, and you can put all your energies and efforts into one business setup, entrepreneurship setup, and that is going to help you to be successful in the market. So the idea is that we can work on one idea and can make it successful as compared to working on two different things. One idea and can make it successful as compared to working on two different things. Okay, so Jack Ma, which I always talk about, is an executive chairman of Alibaba. He's a very famous guy. He's a guru of the management as well. He says, today is cruel, tomorrow is going to be crueler, and the day after tomorrow is beautiful. So he's just telling you a day of life of an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur's life is like full of ups and downs. So any day and night you feel like huge trauma. But once you become successful, all those traumas, all your fears, all the efforts, they will bring you fruit. I was just listening to another businessman who was a billionaire. He says like to the interviewer that you cannot imagine like how many nights I could not sleep just thinking like from where I'm going to get the salary to pay to my employees. Okay, so you go through those tough times, and then when you go to sustainable level, then it's like all good. Okay, so we have a quote from Jan Coham. He is the CEO of WhatsApp. He says, we only wanted to do one thing and do that really well. So yes, this is the niche. Like instead of sometimes people want to solve, or new entrepreneur want to solve lots of problems. No, just try to work on one problem and try to provide a solution to that problem, and then you will get the success. Okay, we have Reid Hoffman. He is the executive chairman of the LinkedIn. He says an entrepreneur is someone who jumps off the cliff and builds a plane on his way down. What does it mean? What is Reid Hoffman talking about? Anyone? Can please text me. What do you understand by this? Yes. A person who is ready to take any challenges. Yes, very true. Very true, Rimsha. Basically, it means like we cannot prepare ourselves to good enough to understand all the challenges. So the thing is, you should jump into the this arena, and then you will later on discover how would you will cope up with the challenges. So what it says like only the tough gets going, only the when the going gets tough, only the tough gets going. So you will learn about your real potential if you will move on, and you will try to see like how I am doing this, until you don't do it. So that's very important for us to understand. Okay, so and Larry Page is the CEO of the Google. He says always deliver more than expected. So that's the great lesson for the marketing. And if you provide more than the customers are expecting, they will be very happy with you, and they will be like going for your products and services all the time. Okay, we have Dick Costolo. He is the CEO of the Twitter. He says timing, perseverance, and 10 years of trying is all it takes to make you look like an overnight success. So what he is like tackling over here is like what normal people think. They think like, oh, this is your overnight success. Well, this was very easy. He said it requires your timing, what time you are entering into market, how long you have like sustained. He said like sustained for 10 years of trying, and then you become an overnight success. So what he is trying to suggest is like success is not an easy thing. It takes some time. So you have to work hard and consistently work hard. Okay, Nick Woodman, he says, I feel like in a world where we all try to figure out our place and our purpose here, your passion are one of your most obvious guides. He said like most of the time people just struggle to find out like what they should be doing. Sometimes, there's even I saw many MBBS doctors, they never wanted to become an MBBS doctor, and they are the doctors. Sometimes, so in many professions, you see people that are not passionate. So he suggests that you should follow your passion. That will give you the purpose of your life. And then we have Drew Houston, who is the CEO of the Dropbox. He said, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once. So this is very true. So all these successful entrepreneurs, they have failed a lot of times, and then that has helped them to become successful in their life. Do you know what is the definition of an expert? They say an expert is a person who has tried all the possible ways of doing it, and he has been failed. So now he knows like what are the way how I can go about this thing. Okay, we can go for the Sachin Bansal. He is the co-founder from Flipkart. So he says, we used to stand outside Gangaram bookstores on Church Street and hand over Flipkart bookmarks to the people coming out with books. So he's like, it suggests you the hard work they have done. It suggests you the passion they had. And like you must be very convinced and you must be very committed to your product, and then you should be willing to go to the grassroots level. Okay, now let's see how we can evaluating your entrepreneurial orientation. Okay, so let's see if you are an entrepreneur or do you have an entrepreneurial mindset. So potential entrepreneur needs to consider a number of issues about themselves before starting a new business. So you need to see yourself. Are you the one who is a risk tolerance? Or you have a prior work experience or experience in the field, and then your personality orientation as an individual. So these are the 3 dimensions on which you should measure yourself, see yourself, and then you should try to go to start a new business venture. Okay, so triggers for starting a business. They can be like triggers means like what are the sources from where you can get an idea or that can trigger you to start a business. They can come from either positive or negative stimuli. This trigger can like be positive. They can help you to discover your real potential. I was just sharing in my class that there can be many turns in your life that can help you to think differently. And there was the billionaire, he was talking like he was terminated from one company and then he started off his own business as he become a millionaire. So sometimes being laid off, being approached with a new business idea. So you are laid off, you are staying at home, and that gives you a leisure time, and in your leisure time, you come across this idea and you have started working on this idea, which you could never do when you were on a 9-to-5 job. The risk and return level in financial tolerable. So sometimes you see like this when you're starting off this business idea that is like a part of your salary, and yes, you can afford this, putting this part of your salary into some idea, and that has started paying you off. So that can also give you an encouragement to go and start the business. Then you can have a little to lose financially by a failure, or like you are starting off a business idea in which you have nothing to lose with. Like one of your friends asked you to come and help him into this business idea, and you're just helping him, So that can also be a reason you are going to start your own business. Evidence and idea for improvement is doable. Like when you get the obvious ideas, like similar kind of businesses are successful, there's an obvious demand for the business, then you can go and think of implementing that idea. Being spurred to action by a book, a seminar, or so on. Yeah, that's very important. Like we are having this lecture today. So sometimes you go to a seminar, you read a book, you watch, you listen to a lecture, and that motivates you to go and start thinking about starting your own business. Okay, so but we are starting the new business entrepreneur idea. We need to get some supports. Okay, so there are supports and resources available to entrepreneur. No single sport assures a success. So this is not guaranteed that if you have the sport, you will be able to be successful. Even though if you have the family, what kind of social networks you have, and then the community in which you work, the financial resources that are very so like classic architecture, a solid business is built upon a variety of the support system. So it depends like what kind of family background you have. If you have the family background that is already in the businesses, so that will also push you to think about like I should be starting my own business. Okay, from a business doing what you like. So the first idea for you, for takeaway for you guys is that you should form a business what you like the most. So try to work on yourself, try to understand yourself. Okay, let me ask you the question. Do you want to become an entrepreneur? Do you like wish? Yes. Do you want to become a successful entrepreneur? Yes, that sounds good. So first thing that you have to work on is try to find out what you like the most. So greatest contributor to an individual success is doing something that he or she enjoys. Okay, so write me down what you like the most. Do you like reading? Do you like playing anything? Do you like what fascinates you? What kind of businesses fascinates you? Can you please write down? Clothing, branding, that's very good. Shopping, that's very good. You know, this is one of the highest successful businesses in the world. Clothing, branding, shopping, yes. Especially for the female clothing and businesses, the branding. Okay, so entrepreneur will need to spend considerable time at the business for it to be successful. The thing is like you need to understand your passion, and then you need to when you start a business, you should not just quit it after spending like a week or so. You have to spend a huge time for it. Someone may have a great business idea, but he or she lacks the passion, they will not be successful. So you must have the urge to run the idea successful. You must have to what you call it, burn the midnight oil. You have to be passionate. As in the previous slide, we were talking about the flip, and they literally went outside shops and they were just selling these personally. Okay, do you? This is an incredible health idea. You will go and watch this by yourself. I doubt we cannot play it here. So in an incredible health idea, you will learn how an MBBS doctor from Kingdom, she goes to US, I think in the college, she does the Master of Business Administration, from where she learns and she sees a gap in the market. She sees like there are nurses, the average hiring for the nurses is like 2 to 3 months. And then she develops a database with the incredible health. She has got shortlisted the nurses and the qualifications are all. So when the hospitals needed the nurses, what they were doing, they had the ready-made data and they would just give the hospital the shortlisted nurses on their criteria, and they have decreased, say, from 2 months to 3 weeks. So that has helped a lot to the hiring process of the hospitals. And if you try to link it with this previous example, that she was an MBBS doctor, and the business idea she is talking about is from the hospitals. Yes. So is there a link between them? Yes, there is a link. So she is in the hospital. She saw this as a problem, and she is willing to solve the problem. Who was facing this problem? The hospitals, yes. So when the hospitals required nurses, when they were approaching nurses, shortlisting them, it would take like months. And now she has decreased it to weeks. So similarly, in our whatever field you are, we can just think about what are the problems around us. Which problem, if we resolve, that can be beneficial, and we can make revenue out of them. Okay, these are your review questions. You have to see what types of new business interests you mostly have and why. What aspects of those businesses are particularly appealing to you? And do you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the next 5 years? Okay, my question, last question. Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the next 5 years? Or you don't want to see yourself an entrepreneur? Okay, inshallah. Okay, that's very good. So I will hope that you will be watching these documentaries, which I share with you, and try to follow the points that we have discussed in this lecture, and it's going to be inshallah beneficial for you guys. Okay, so we can stop the recording here. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, no question? Okay, no question?